Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a new video on the channel. In this video, I will go over my 5 biggest lessons of 2024 and what all my, also some action points coming from it. It's currently Wednesday, the 1st of January 2025, so we are already in the new year. I tried to record this video yesterday on the last day of the year, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so. So here we are with the video, and yeah. Um, I would love to start by really quickly recapping on the last year. Since the big recap on the last year, the yearly recap I already recorded, I believe it was Monday, so the 13th of December, and you can also find that in a separate video on the channel. As I also mentioned in that video, um, my year in one word would be switch. So the word switch, I think, really well summarized how my year has been. Um, the year before it was growth, but this year it's switch. I think 2023 has been really massive for me. Um, yeah, still also then I realized how big of a year it was for me and how much growth I experienced as a person. For me, that was the biggest, really big year, and also yeah, I think still the biggest. But this year it really was like switch, and I will come back to that word, which also is, which you can find also in 2 lessons which I had over last year. So, with that being said, let's dive straight into the first lesson. And the first lesson is long term. As as I also mentioned, with all the lessons, I by the way also have an action point which you can straight on implement to use this lesson in your favor. So, with that being said, let's dive right into it. As mentioned, the first lesson is long term. And the lesson here is that you should never sacrifice quality for speed. Always look what is bringing you the most growth on the long term. And I think this is where a switch is coming. Yeah, is playing a part like the most of these 5 lessons. Since in this year, I of course founded my company Revive Health during like May. I founded this company, and for me, that has been the switch where I refer to, and that has a lot to do with long term, since the only reason I founded that company is because of the long term, since I do really believe the long term vision and um, possibilities of that company. And I was really missing that in my previous ventures, the dropshipping ventures. So that's why I founded that company. And for me, long term has that switch from short term minded, and also your actions towards long term is where the biggest switch occurred. So for me, that really summarizes one of my lessons over last year. And the lesson is, as mentioned, like that you should honestly never sacrifice quality for speed. It's so important to build for something on the long term. Like short term things honestly aren't worthwhile at all. You never will be able to like create something massively in a short period of time on the short term. And sometimes it is like how you generate short-term success is the same as how you will do it on the long term. But sometimes it's, we'll get back to that in the lesson and the action point from it. But sometimes the action you have to take to get long-term success differ from the ones you have to take to have short-term success in the short term. So it's really important to be aware of this, and I was already aware of this, but right now really implemented it. And that's why for me, that's one of my biggest lessons, if not my biggest one. And also, it refers back to the my year in one word, which is switch again. Then another lesson which I learned, especially during the last quarter of the year, is that perception is reality. Nothing really is good or bad in itself. It just is. You can decide yourself what you want it to be. That's the beauty about life. Like you can honestly decide for yourself how you want to judge certain things. So, um, for example, it's like the example I always use here is, for example, it's cold outside, and you're feeling cold, And I think that's kind of like a negative thought. If you would say like, okay, I'm cold, I want to go inside. Also, you could be like grateful um, for the, the jacket that you're wearing. It's like it is not cold. That's like a perception you have, and that will make your reality. And if that's not the case, then it will become a reality. So you can decide yourself what you want, and that's, I think, one of the biggest beauties of this life, of the video game that we are playing. I really became aware of that during this last year, and I think I, as mentioned, also have a great action point to implement this lesson in your life, and which I also, of course, will use. So that's a really great lesson, and don't forget that one: perception is reality. The third lesson is the importance of alignment. And also, this could have been my biggest lesson of this year, and also refers back to the word switch, since um, I believe that with my choice to build something for the long term, I also chose to be aligned. I feel way more aligned right now than, and also for the last half a year, than how I felt the half year before. And according to me, and that's a lesson which I also learned, is that you are supposed to live in alignment. And the fun thing again is you are the only one who can feel whether you are, and you can decide whether you are, because you can lie to anyone else besides yourself and God. Sign, and for me, signs which will show whether you are living outside of alignment is a lot of frustration, and on the bigger perspective, you barely make any growth. And also, a great friend of mine added to this, that you don't feel excited. And excited, I think it's even the best indicator if whether you're living in alignment or not. So, what do I mean with alignment? Alignment for me has everything to do with whether you are doing the right things that you are supposed to do, whether you feel aligned with your mission and the vision that you had, and that your actions are aligned with it. So, let's say you feel you have to, build a family and build a future, um, build for the future with a family which you don't yet have. For me, then you are living outside of alignment when you're, for example, dating other girls, uh, yeah, hooking up with other girls and stuff. And the same, for example, when you feel like you should take care of your family financially, and you are just simply not putting in enough work to get that done. And then I think you really clearly feel yourself when you are inside or outside of alignment. Um, and this actually also ties back to the first point, where you should build on the long term with yourself. So, for example, you can decide to live outside of alignment, and let's say you think like you steal 20 euros from someone, you directly gain 20 euros from someone, but you lie to yourself, and you yourself know that. So that will cost you way more than 20 euros on the long term. So that's also, alignment comes back to short term and long term with yourself as well. So um, whether you want to gain on the short term but live outside of alignment, or live in alignment and choose to build for the long term. I think that ties back to point one, if that makes sense. So the importance of alignment, and I also myself feel that I'm way more aligned, is something which I definitely have learned the importance of in 2024. So with that being said, let's dive straight into point four, and that's a really fun one. Uh, since that lesson is that hard things are fun, and you are supposed to do them. Also, one of my biggest lessons, honestly. A funny story is actually also that it's currently, as mentioned, the 1st of January. And last year I was with some friends in Amsterdam, which is like, yeah, of course, like the capital of the Netherlands. And it's like 25 kilometers away from my place, a bit more apparently. Since what me and my friend decided to do is, okay, instead of taking an Uber back to our place, we just decided to go running. So after we went out, or at least we were taking some drinks, chilling with friends, at like 4:30 a.m., we decided, okay, instead of taking an Uber home, we're going to run home. So in the cold, in the dark. That's where the two of us were on the 1st of January, in the middle of the night, um, after going out, running back home. So that's exactly what we did. 28 kilometers in total, a bit less than 3 hours. From 4:30 a.m. till 7:30 a.m. we were running, and yeah, that all ties back to the lesson which I learned here, which is that hard things are fun and you are supposed to do them. The hardest battles goes to the strongest soldiers, and that's also what I keep telling myself. It's actually a quote which I learned from heard from Samuel Nua, and he said this, and I think this is so true. So you can either decide like, okay, I prefer not to be like a stronger soldier, or I not willing to take those hard battles, but I think those hardest battles go to the strongest soldiers. And you also, it of course work the other way around, since you get a stronger soldier from a hard battle. So whether it's the Ironman, which I completed um, this year, whether it's like, for example, the run which I did this morning or this night, whatever you want to call it, um, the 5 kilometers I did in 18 minutes and 50 seconds, or like a 2 minute plank. It's such a simple thing as a 2 minute plank in the gym. At the end, they all feel the same. And when I did those, I had that quote like constantly in my mind, like hardest battles goes to the strongest soldiers. So I can decide, okay, I prefer not to be a stronger soldier and I can give up here, or no, like I think I'm supposed to do this. Let's keep on going. So also, I made myself feel amazing after doing these kinds of things, since I think then what I said, like then hard things only are really fun to do. I felt so much joy during the Ironman. It was like one of the best moments of my life, honestly. Well, I was suffering, but you get so much satisfaction from that suffering. So that's why I think hard things are fun to do. And when you reward yourself in a great way after doing those or after completing those, I think you also, yeah, stimulate yourself to keep on doing those. So you basically instantly gain two things from doing hard things, and that's like, first of all, you feel amazing, and second of all, you improve and you become better. So that's why that is such an important lesson of this year as well. And yeah, I would also recommend everyone to challenge yourself more. I think you are made to do it. You are supposed to do it, and that's exactly why we did the 28 kilometers one, which was really really tough. Honestly, it was really tough. We had some drinks. We had no food, no drinks, freaking cold, in the dark, a lot of wind, and then decided to do like 28 kilometers from Amsterdam to my home, where I then fell asleep at like 8 a.m. It was crazy. So yeah, that's the fourth lesson. Hard things are fun. You're supposed to do them. And then the fifth and last lesson before we dive into the action points from these lessons is that honestly, life is amazing and it's not going to get better than this. And even though if we strive for it, it will be just, even if we strive for it, but that's just for the sake of it. So the lesson is that life is so amazing and it won't be better, get any better than this. The achievement that you're getting, you will never be able to get a bigger trophy than life itself. Life itself, existence in itself, is the biggest blessing there is, and it's the biggest trophy that there is. This was also one of my main lessons from the trip, which I had with a great friend of mine earlier this year, uh, and also like when I watched some videos of big entrepreneurs, I said, like, okay, maybe the stage that I'm in, it's even better, it's even funnier. So, uh, yeah, the time that I'm in and the time that we are in, it's so amazing, and I feel so blessed and grateful for it each and every day. And yeah, it's not going to get better than this, honestly. How life is for me right now, of course, we will improve, since yeah, still we strive for it, and it's just for the sake of it, since that fact that we strive for a better day each and every day is what makes our life so damn amazing. So yeah, I actually think that um, it we will only get bigger, and we will be able to enjoy the our life better, since I think that definitely is a skill which is worthwhile learning yourself or practicing. So that's also something which I will try to do. But all in all, uh, really, really grateful for how my life is turning out these days. And uh, yeah, I really wanted to touch into that and mention that here as well. So that's also one of my biggest lessons of last year. And thereby we wrap up the 5 lessons for this year. So let's really quickly summarize them. The first one, again, long term, the importance of it. The second one is that perception is reality. The third one is the importance of alignment. The fourth one is that hard things are fun and you're supposed to do them. And the fifth one is that life honestly isn't going to get better than this. Then let's really dive into the um, action points from these lessons. And kicking off with the first one, the long term lesson, is that this framework I would advise you to implement when making choices. When making a decision, always just think what would deliver you the most or the best outcome in 5 years. So sometimes, as I said also at the lesson, they are the same. Like the choice that is bringing you the most growth tomorrow also is the choice that will bring you the most growth in 5 years. Let's say, for example, you decide I want to go watch some, or let's say you say I want to jerk off, or I want to build on my business. Then both the the second decision will make you like give you a better life on the short term and also on the long term. But let's say you want to build something amazing for the long term. I think, for example, building a dropshipping store, or let's say go work at your local restaurant, it will make you more money tomorrow, but it's not going to make you more money in 5 years. So then those two decisions differ, and then always choose for the one that makes you the most money in the long term, even though the one on the short term uh, might feel way more appealing to you. So that's the first lesson and the action point, which I would love to advise you to implement. So again, like a quick framework when making decisions. The second one is zoom out when you're feeling negative about something. This is, of course, the lesson which is referring back to um, perception is reality. And since perception is reality, and as I said, you can choose however you feel about things, you should not feel negative about anything, because you can basically zoom out and change how you're feeling about it, since you can decide it yourself. So why would you feel negative about it? So that's the straight action point on the second lesson, that perception is reality. And then the third one, which is of course tying back to the lesson, the importance of alignment. And the action point here is that you should always do what you know is right. You should make choices as if your future son is watching, like always. How you want him to act, make sure you act in that way as well. So trust your gut feeling here. When your gut feeling is saying that that's the right choice, please act towards it, because that's what will make you feel aligned. So don't pretend as if that feeling isn't there. Do what you know is the right choice. Do what you know is the right thing to do. The action point from lesson 3, the importance of alignment. And the fourth one is, again, tying back to the lesson which I learned about the fun behind doing hard things. And that's, first of all, besides the fact that just go and do hard things, things you feel like are hard, because that's also, again, perception is reality. You may decide yourself what is hard and what isn't, whether that's like a 2 minute plank for you, whether it's a full marathon, whether it's an ultra marathon, whether it's just going for a bike session of like half an hour. If it's hard for you, then you can decide yourself that it is. So the action point which I have is that you should reward yourself after you did it, after you did something hard, or at least, again, when you think it's hard, reward yourself there. And since I think then your mind connects that reward to that action, and then you are probably more likely to again take an action like that in the future. And then diving into the last action point of this video, tying back to the fifth lesson, which is about how amazing life is, and it's that it's not going to get better than this. Like, just be more grateful. Just say like I'm grateful, or thank God, or be grateful when you, for example, like are having dinner. Just saying it out loud or say it in yourself, um, even though when you don't feel like it already makes you feel like it. And I think it's life is way better if you feel grateful for what you have and how things are going in your life. So, and those are the 5 action points coming from the 5 biggest lessons of 2024. Honestly, it has been an amazing year in different aspects. It has been a tough year, and looking into like straight growth, for example, financially, it for sure hasn't been my yet best year. But all in all, is it's supposed to go in this way, and I'm again really grateful for how everything went. Um, I think I learned a lot. I made a really important switch, and I'm really grateful for that. And I can't wait for what's coming in 2025. See you again in the next video. Ciao, ciao.